and welcome back to the Shaanah Montana YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time and no see, but here we are. It's 2024, new year, new me. And I normally don't lean into that mantra, but this year I think it's a really good thing because I kicked off the YouTube channel full force ahead. 2023 was putting out videos and then wonk, wonk, wonk. For many reasons, no need to name them all here, I fell off. And I recognize that one of the reasons, like many of you, and that's the reason for this series today, that I fell off is because of distractions. You are distracted. I am distracted. We are distracted together. And while I had a great 2023. I was able to accomplish a lot of goals, one of them being my amazing Shaanah Montana journal collection that we're going to be talking a lot about on this page, on this series. I was able to knock that out amongst other things. There were still goals that I did not complete due to being distracted amongst other things. Like even with this series, you all know I said, what's today? Today is January 10th. This series was supposed to be released on January the 8th. The reason that it did not get released on January the 8th is, you could say part of it was a distraction, but part of it was, let me say this. I probably was just being too ambitious because January 1st, I was still recovering from December 31st. So I don't know why I thought that I was going to be this super productive person on January 1st, knowing how my December 31st was going to go. So my December 31st went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. So my January 1st and 2nd were days of recovery. And then my January 3rd and 4th were getting back to work because I hadn't been to work in like 2 weeks. And then this week was just, getting my groove back. So this has kind of like been my first week of the new year. So being that this was my first week of the new year, I'm not really sure why I made that promise to myself or y'all that I was going to drop this series on January the 8th. But guess what? It's just January the 10th and here we are. The series is coming. And that's all the more reason that I decided, look, I'm going to take this Apple Watch off because guess what? Just like we about to talk about in this series, it is a goddamn distraction. Ain't nobody text or call me all day. Now the watch blowing up is trying to type out what I'm saying. Ugh. So that leads me to this. This new series, we are on episode 1. And this series is called You Are Distracted. In episode 1, this is identifying distractions. And before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about myself and how I almost allowed like superficial distractions to stop me from even recording this series. So right now, today, I don't have on the most makeup. My hair ain't the flyest. I'm not giving 10, 10s, 10s across the board, but I'm giving enough to show up on this camera and give you all the content and the information and the education that you need to be able to start applying this to your life today to remove distractions. So it's almost like I allowed something that shouldn't have been distracting me but could be considered a distraction to distract me from even sitting here and starting to record this series. And I was like, F it. I was like, I don't feel like beating my face to the gods. I don't feel like trying to go in there and go full glam with the outfit. I was like, I'm going to put this hat on. I'm going to do a little dust and I'm going to sit down and give the people what they need to give. And then the other part of that is, even in preparing for this, like I made notes, I put categories, like I know the overriding theme of every episode. But at the same time, I was almost overthinking the episodes to the point like, no, I need some more notes. I need to do this. I need to do that. So all of that said, this wasn't even planned out. But when it comes to identifying distractions, you either number one, identify if you are the distraction and you are standing in front of your own success, like stopping yourself from getting there. Because why was I so up in arms about, what I was wearing or how much makeup I had on to come on camera? I know I'm presentable. I know I'm fine. I know that I have the information and the knowledge to really just talk about this off the top of my head outside of, wanting to be prepared and having notes so I can have something to follow. But I was allowing all those little things to stop me from recording. Like, even though it was ambitious of me to want to get this out on the 8th, I probably could have got it out on the 8th if I hadn't let those little things get ahead of me. So I recognize, like, we gotta first identify, before we even dive into the larger distractions, we gotta just make sure that we gotta make sure that we aren't the larger distraction. You gotta make sure that You are not the problem that's stopping you from reaching the levels of success that you want to reach. So first and foremost, in this episode, we are going to talk about the different types of distractions. We're going to talk about things from the digital world that we live in. We're going to talk about environmental factors, things in our homes. We're going to talk about internal distractions. And then we're going to talk about what your homework is going to be before you go ahead and listen to episode 2. So getting right to it. Today we are going to talk about what I think is probably number one on everybody's list in regards to what is the most distracting thing when it comes to stopping them from reaching their goals, and why you did not reach your goals in 2023. So we know that people are distracted. Like I said, on Instagram, you're distracted by social media. You're distracted by other people's business. You're distracted by procrastination. You are distracted by yourself, allowing yourself to get in your way. You are distracted by imposter syndrome. You are distracted by a myriad of things. But I bet you by golly, wow. So I bet you the number one thing on your list that you are distracted by is going to be social media. Social media. You are probably watching this clip, and social media does include YouTube. So, or does it? Some people may say it does. Some people may say it does. I don't know. We're just going to talk about mainly, Instagram, Facebook. We're going to talk about TikTok, Snapchatter, all the Twitter, X, Threads. They come up with a new social media platform every single day. And like, you may be watching a clip of this episode right now with your phone in your hand on Instagram, and you probably have something else that you're supposed to be doing right now instead of watching this clip. I appreciate you watching this clip, but I bet there's some other shit you're supposed to be doing right now instead of watching this clip. So you're kind of proving my point. And if you're watching this clip on Instagram and you're proving my point, you probably need to just go ahead and go to YouTube and watch the whole video so you can stop being distracted and learn how to properly allocate y'all time. Love y'all, mean it, but y'all got to do better. So the first thing is, social media. And that's driven because we live in a very, we live in a tech world. We live in a digital world. It is in the fabric of what we do every single day. You will meet people that aren't on social media, but that is far and few in between. So I'm talking to the majority of us that are on social media. So we, people wake up, and before they thank God for giving them breath, for seeing a new day, they logging in on Instagram, they liking pictures, they making comments, they looking around, they on TikTok. We all haven't even opened up the Bible app, but we already on Facebook to see what's going on. It keeps us up late at night. We feel like we can't sleep, we get on social media, and that's going to definitely keep us up. When it comes to, what's going on, I always say, you log on to Instagram, it's pictures. I think it's easier to digest, for me anyway. But you get on Facebook, in a matter of 60 seconds, if you just scroll, you are liable to come across a baby shower, a birthday, a funeral, an anniversary, a graduation, some cats and dogs fighting, people literally fighting, police brutality. In a matter of 60 seconds, you can come across all of that. Imagine what that information overload is doing to you. It is putting things into your psyche, into your mind, into your spirit, into your system that don't belong there, and that are not things, they are not the business that you need to be tending to at that time. So number one, the digital distractions, we have to identify what those are. The notifications, like I don't have notifications for any social media on my phone. I don't have email notifications. Only notification I have is for my text messages, and an icon pops up to let me know I have a text message. But I don't have anything that pops up and shows the message. And sometimes I turn that off if I want to be super like laser focused that day on what I'm doing. But we have this desire to be constantly connected to the world around us, and many times it causes us to lose track and to lose focus and to not be clear about what we need to do to be connected to ourselves and our goals in the moment, in the present of right now, because we are so connected to the outside world. And the other thing is that fear of missing out, FOMO, FOMO. You think that if you are not logged on to Facebook and have every notification of everything that's going on, that you are truly missing out on something. And you know that you ain't missing out on shit. You just nosy. That's all that is. So at the end of the day, I think you have to understand that social media, well, again, it is in the fabric of what we do. It's almost like a gift and a curse. It's a beautiful thing because it does allow me to be, and people like myself, to be able to quickly convey messages to the masses, to educate you all, to help you reach your goals and guide you. But at the end of the day, if you are overly consumed with social media, if it is what you are doing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if you find that you go and look at your screen time, I know on iPhone anyway, you can see how much time you are spending on the screen, and you are spending in excess of 8 hours per day on social media, no matter what the app, that means that that is something that you may want to look into if, and only if, you are serious about redirecting your focus back to you and your goals and doing something different in 2024 than what you did in 2023. Number 2, it is going to be environmental distractions. And what I mean by that, do you need to do some spring cleaning before spring even get here? Do you need to declutter your room? Do you need to clean your closet? Do you need to straighten up that space you call an office but don't look shit like an office? Do you need to figure out when you are working from home or trying to work on a project that you need to be in a space that is clear from all kinds of noise and distractions around you? Environmental distractions play a huge part too, because if you call yourself, I'm going to work on my goals, I'm going to work on whatever it is that I have in front of me, but at the same time, I may be a person that thinks I can have the TV on in the background, but in reality, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and start watching that court show that I got on TV. Or I'm going to start watching it, or I'm going to choose to watch Netflix instead of work on the goals that I have. Or I'm going to choose to, be on my phone playing, Candy Crush, because instead of sitting down to work on that business plan that I have. Or I'm going to be in a space in my home that's full of clutter, that's messy, that needs to be straightened up. And every time I sit down and think I'm about to work on something, I look up and I see that big pile of clothes across from me. And then that distracts me. So I'm getting up to clean that up. And when I start getting up to clean that up, then I want to come over here and dust over here. And then I want to go wash the dishes over there. It's like it's a cause and effect that leads us to do all these things that, again, distract us from our goals. So we need to look at environmental factors. I'm a person that, and I'm sure there's many people out there like this, but I enjoy cleaning up. So for the most part, I have this thing, a lot of people say they clean up their homes on Saturday, like a deeper clean, but I try to do it on a Thursday. Somebody recommended that to me years ago, and I stuck with it because I'm like, well, I don't want to spend my Saturday cleaning up. So on Thursdays, I take time to clean my house from top to bottom. Now, mind you, I am single, I live alone, don't have children, so it's not a whole lot of cleaning up I have to do. But at the end of the day, there are people that are single, live alone, don't have children, and their house could still be a mess. So I would say you need to just go through and evaluate your spaces. Like, is your bedroom a zone where when you go in at night and you're ready to pull out your journal and write your release affirmations or write your release today points in your journal, which we'll talk about, you're distracted because your room is just so messy and so cluttered and just is not inviting. Like I took my TV out of my room to have it redecorated last year, and I have not put a TV back in my room because my room is just so relaxing right now. Like, I don't need a TV in there. I'm eventually going to put one back in there because I do have days occasionally where I intentionally just want to stay in bed all day and watch TV. Those are like my self-care days. But for the most part, like, my room is very inviting where I don't need that. But is your room like not a space you really want to be in, or that you can't even relax in? Because if we aren't relaxed, if we can't relax, then we probably aren't getting good rest. And if we aren't getting good rest, most times, especially if you're 35 plus, you're going to struggle to show up in your day as your best self and go forward. Like, I know these days, if I'm getting, give or take, like, if I'm getting probably less than 6 hours of sleep, like, I'm no good. Like, I can't get up and go to the gym. If I do get up and go to the gym, when I get home, I'm like sluggish all day. This looks like 2 cups of coffee, a Celsius, trying to go to bed at 6 o'clock, but that's not realistic. So again, the environmental distractions, like how are you setting up the spaces around you for success? So is your bedroom a space where you can relax at night? Is your home office or other parts of your home spaces where when you sit down to do work or sit down to brainstorm or sit down to work on things, you don't get distracted by the things around you? Is your home warm and inviting as far as even like smells? Like, I'm a person, I keep wildflowers throughout my house. I have a humidifier. I keep the what's it called? I keep the mist things. I can't even think of the what it's called right now, but the things that have the misted spray item, I keep those kinds of things going. Like, I keep my house from top to bottom very warm, welcoming, and inviting. And you know, you have to think about, are you doing that for yourself? Because if you're not, if your home is not a space that you want to be in, you really are going to struggle to stay focused, because you're always going to be thinking about something else, or distracted, or thinking about, oh, I want to fix this stuff in my house, or I want to do this in my house, and then you're distracted, so you never do it in the first place. And then the other part of that is going to be just organizing your life. Some people live in chaos. Some people live in what they call organized chaos. But I think you have to make sure that your life is organized. You know, people, I don't know, nor do I know if I can trust a person that does not operate out of a planner. Like, I tell people, if I don't write it down, it's probably not going to happen, because I'm not serious about it. Like, literally, I write things in the notes in my phone. I write things in my planner. I have a Google Calendar. I have things in several places to make sure that every facet of my life is organized in a certain way, because when things are organized for me, that removes the chaos, that gives me clarity, and that allows me to stay focused on the things that I need to be focused on, versus squandering around and wondering and figuring out, what do I need to do, and then I miss an appointment, and you miss an appointment, and you know what kind of cause and effect that has. It's just a trickle down effect where the day just goes downhill. You miss an appointment, got to reschedule it, possibly had to pay a missed appointment fee, whatever the case may be, and then it's just, again, downhill from there. So, like, what are the environmental things around you that are distracting you and stopping you from reaching your goals right now? And I want you to do some inventory. So we think back, you know, so far, digital distractions, social media. Get serious with yourself. Like, and in this process, ladies and gentlemen, don't lie. God is watching. Don't lie. Because if you know that you spend way too much time on social media, if you know that you got them notifications going off, and when a notification go off, your heart start racing and you got to go check it, and you know that you feel like you missing out on some shit, like you ain't never deactivated Facebook, because you cannot miss a post. If you know that about yourself, you know you got some work you need to do. And then environmental, if you know your house is messy as hell, if you know your home office is unorganized, if you know that planner you bought in 2023, you need to dust it off, hell, just write 2024 on it. Don't even buy a new one. And get to it. If you know that about yourself, you know that you have not done the things that you need to do to not be distracted. And then the third point we're making right here is internal distractions. Let's talk about it. Procrastinating. You call yourself multitasking, but in reality, you just got 86 tabs open in your head, just like you got on your computer or on your phone. And then you have a lack of clear goals. Like, you're really not clear about what it is that you want to do. And I really want to get into that. So, number one, procrastination. We've all been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. And you have to just make a conscious effort to do better with that and tap in to figure out, why do you procrastinate? Like, in this instance, I'll talk about myself. I feel like I was procrastinating with, you know, putting this series out for things that I mentioned earlier. Were those tangible things? Were they a big deal? You know, could I have just done it? Yeah. But in a sense, I was putting it off. Like, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. And today I was like, girl, I had told myself, the talk I had with myself, I was like, if you don't take care of the content business that you need to get caught up with today, you are never going to get ahead and get the other things done that you need to get done. So I had that talk with myself, like, I cannot put it off any longer. If I want to be successful, to say the way that I said, I'm going to be successful in 2024, and here we are. So when it comes to procrastinating, I want you to really think about, because that's the largest, like in the top 3 of internal distractions. Why do you procrastinate? Think about it. Do you feel like you're lazy? Do you feel like you aren't motivated? And I'm not calling you any of these things. I'm just trying to give suggestions. Do you feel like you aren't motivated? If you don't feel motivated, why don't you feel motivated? Do you feel like, you know, you don't really know what to do, what your next steps are? Do you feel like you don't really have the resources, or you trying to maybe save money to get a certain thing? Like, maybe if you want to be a vlogger, you're trying to save money to get a camera before you start vlogging, when you really could vlog on your phone, because I'm sure you probably have a phone that's up to date enough for you to be able to do that. Like, what is at the foundation of why you procrastinate? Only you can come up with that answer, and you have to be able to figure out what it is that causes you to procrastinate in order to overcome it. The next thing would be, you know, a lot of times we may say, I'm multitasking. And I found that multitasking, yeah, that may work in an instance of like when I'm working, I may be multitasking in the sense that I send this email, I have this one screen open of this PowerPoint that I'm creating, and I have this other screen open of this document that I'm creating. And sometimes, I'll stop the PowerPoint to send the email, and then I'll go over to the document and I'll kind of rotate, but I still keep an ongoing list of things I need to do. And I keep a priority list of things, like I need to accomplish these things today. Like I can't go any further until I do these things. So I still have my priorities together, but many times we have so much going on and so many tasks going on that we never complete even one task, because multitasking means that we're doing multiple things and we need to be able to focus on one thing at a time. So if that's your issue, I challenge you to really look at it and say, if I do have multiple projects going on, what can I do to streamline these projects and figure out how I can be more successful at things one at a time if multitasking is not working for you. Now, mind you, that's just one thing that could be a distraction, just like procrastinating, but I really want you to think about that. Is that one of your issues? Because I know with me, running several brands, you all know, of course, I have Shaanah Montanna, but I also now have the Shaanah Montanna journal collection. And then I have To Be Single or Not to Be, which is the podcast. So I had to figure out with my priorities. I was like, I'm in this business because I want to educate people. I want to inspire people. I want people to be able to show up and live life as their best selves. But I also want to make a little coin, a lot of coin in doing this as well. And I realized in order for me to be able to create the coin that I want and streamline things in the way they need to be in order for me to make money, I had to prioritize two of my brands in a certain order and put one on the back burner, because ultimately, if I'm doing what I need to do for my YouTube and I'm doing what I need to do for my journals, the money's going to come and it's going to trickle into the other areas anyway. So I had to sit myself down and figure that out. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And that is exactly why I am here. And so then the other thing would be, a lack of clear goals. And this hat, I feel like it's tight as hell on my head. But we'll figure that out for the next episode. So a lack of clear goals. So that's the thing. This is a huge one, because a lot of times we'll say we have all these goals, but are we clear about what our goals are in every area? It's almost like getting clear about what it is that you want in a partner, in a relationship. You have to break it down into sections, and then you have to break it down into subsections, and then you have to break it down a little bit further. But you have to break it down so you can really streamline things and see exactly what those goals are. So if my goals are, and I'll talk about myself, are one of my goals for 2024, I am going to release season 5 of the podcast. I'm really clear about releasing season 5 of the podcast. But as you all know, in order to release a season of the podcast, I have to get guests. I have to book the guest. I have to record the episodes with the guest. I have to edit the episodes or get someone to edit those. And then I have to release them. It's really only a 3-part process. And the hardest part of it is really just getting the guests, because for season 5, I want to make sure I have all new guests. And my focus, if you're watching this, you get to know this. My focus is going to be couples for season 5, really just talking about relationships on a deeper level. So primarily, I want to focus on married couples or people in long-term relationships, and a few couples that are newly in relationships, but are serious about one another. So, it's a process of, I know what that goal is. I just quickly told you all what the steps are to accomplish that goal. And now for me, it's just literally, and that's next on the to-do list that I have, are setting up the dates as to when I want to start my process of recruiting for my couples. Because once I have and also, first I have to go and set out my calendar for when I want to record, because I have to present that to people. So say if I want to record starting March 1st, making that up, I have to present it to people and say, okay, these are the date options I have for you to record. Please pick from those which work for you, and then I can book people from there. So that's a way of showing that, I'm clear about what it looks like to accomplish one of my goals for 2024. But you have to think about, and this applies for me as well, I look at, yes, that's a professional business goal. But what goals do you have for your physical health? Are you trying to just, get in better shape? Or are you actually trying to lose weight? For your financial goals, are you trying to make money, save money, invest money? Are you trying to earn more money? What does that look like? When it comes to your spiritual goals, are you trying to go to church more, go to Bible study, join groups at church? When it comes to your occupational goals, are you trying to grow in corporate America? So those are just examples of the categories when you think about it, and when you break it down, you got the mental and your emotional health and wellness. Are you trying to get into therapy? So if you think about the different areas, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, religious, or I said spiritual, religious, occupational, financial, it's so many areas. And it can be overwhelming if you don't take time to sit down and really write it out of what it is that you have as an overall goal and what is your game plan to get there. Because if you don't do that, you won't get the clarity around the goals that you need. So that said, all of those things, the digital distractions, environmental distractions, and internal distractions, those three things, the power that I'm going to give you right now of how you can start to work on and identify what your distractions are starts with this. First, you got to visit the link below and go to Amazon and purchase your Shaanah Montanna journal collection. Get that so you can have it for later on in the series if you ain't already got it. Tell your sister, tell your friend, buy somebody, buy a gift for somebody. But seriously, if you don't have a Shaanah Montanna journal, and I don't care at this point if you use a piece of paper, but I strongly recommend a journal because we're talking about the power of journaling and all of this. But I want you to take your piece of paper, your journal, whatever you have, and your homework is to figure out what are your top 3 distractions. What were your top 3 distractions in 2023 that stopped you from reaching all of your goals? And I'm going to do homework as well because like I mentioned at the start of this video, is that I had goals that I did accomplish in 2023, but there were goals I absolutely could have done better with. And one of them being consistent on YouTube. You know, I could have done better with that, but I was distracted by a lot of things, but no more. And so I want you all to take your journal and really write those things out. Like, what are my top 3 things that I am distracted by? And why do I think they are distractions? And what do I feel like I can start doing effective immediately to remove those distractions? Because over the course of this series, we are going to talk about, we're going to go deeper into the power of journaling to remove distractions. We are going to talk about, what else? I'm trying to look at my list over here. We're going to talk about a digital detox, taming that tech beast, because not everybody needs to, you know, deactivate social media, but some of y'all do. Some of y'all do. We're going to talk about creating a distraction-free environment. Right now, for me, a part of my distraction-free environment, I am on a sober, curious journey. If you follow this page, you know last year I did the same thing. I went 55 days without alcohol. And yesterday made 1 week without alcohol. And it's been great. Like, I don't even think about it. Because after the way, and I'm about to make another video today to tell y'all about my huge part of my sober, curious journey. I started to feel like my body was rejecting alcohol because I was having such adverse effects to it. Like, more than a hangover. Like, it was twice I was ready to go to the ER. That's how my body was reacting to it. And I just recognized, like, yeah, I gotta slow down with that. So I don't know when I'm gonna pick up a drink again. I don't miss it. My friends call me to take a shot. I love taking shots of water. I'm like, we can take as many as y'all want, girl. But for me, when it talks about creating a distraction-free environment, removing alcohol was a part of it. Because if I'm hungover and it takes 5 to 7 business days to recover, and during that was during the 5 to 7 business days when I was supposed to be recording my YouTube videos. Now I'm in a pickle. And the last part we're going to talk about on this series is going to be creating a sustainable practices for a distraction-free environment. So overall, I just want you all to know, recapping really quickly. Digital distractions, you got your social media, you got the notifications, you got the constant desire to be connected and that fear of missing out. Environmental distractions, clutter, noise, your household, disorganization, and internal procrastination, imposter syndrome, multitasking, or so you call it, or lack of clear goals and tools and resources. So homework, you have to figure out what are your top 3 distractions. Why do you think they distracted you in 2023? And what do you feel like you can start doing effective immediately? Because there's something you can do. Like, say if you recognize that, yeah, you got it. Your social media is your biggest distraction. Something you may do now, say, I'm going to put those timers or time limits that they have on iPhones to start limiting my time to be on my phone starting right now, or maybe starting tomorrow, whatever works for you. And by doing that, you know, putting things into effect immediately sends something to your psyche to let you know that you're serious about it. We know you're serious about it, and we want you to stay serious about it. So I hope that this episode 1, you know, identifying distractions has been helpful to you. And make sure, and also as a part of not procrastinating, do your homework now or do it tonight, because you might be listening to this while you're maybe driving or in the middle of doing something. But before you lay that pretty little head down to go to sleep tonight, do your homework, because Episode 2 is going to be out in 2 days. So I was going to release all the episodes back to back, but because we are dealing with a group of people that have been distracted, I want to give us some grace because we are learning, we are growing, and you know, we may need until tomorrow to do our homework. So today is Wednesday, January the 10th, and this episode is coming out. Episode 2 will be out on Friday, January the 12th. And then, of course, over the weekend, I'm not going to release any content because people are busy, but we'll get back to it on that Monday. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Signing off, yours truly, Shaanah Montana.